So the UFC unfortunately suffered not one but two devastating injuries in the span of about 24 hours. This is UFC 218, where Dominick Cruz has now been pulled from the card because of a broken arm. On top of that, Max Blessed Holloway does not have a dancing partner because Frankie Edgar has also been pulled because of injury. Going over Dominick Cruz first, we have talked about this many times, but he has dealt with a laundry list of injuries.
Have them all.
He did not, okay, great. From 2012 to like 2014, I want to say, 2016.
His whole career.
His whole career. He fought one time in the span of 4 years. It sucks. I was rewatching a conversation that he had with Joe Rogan and how he said it was as much physical as it was mental. I have a few of those quotes, but it's like going to a game show. Like, what were those injuries, Jason?
Jesus Christ. Yeah, so after, first of all, when people like to forget Dominick Cruz, this is why I like to remind them all, Garbrandt, shiny and new, Cruz is a better fighter. And people, I love the YouTube audience who hates that. They hate that their new treasured fighter isn't as good. Sorry, guys.
Right, but the one time that they fought, it was decided that he was better.
Correct.
Yes.
In the one time that they fought.
Yeah.
And I will stand by this
for a title
for the rest of my life. Garbrandt beat Cruz. Garbrandt does not beat a healthy Dominick Cruz because look, some of the comments are saying like he got embarrassed. No.
No, it wasn't embarrassing.
He won round 2. And then after a 10-8 round, which I thought Garbrandt kicked the shit out of him in round 4, he won round 5. He came back after a 10-8, and there was debate over round 1, which Garbrandt won. He won by unanimous decision. Don't get me wrong. He had plantar fasciitis in his feet.
So you're saying that Cody Garbrandt got lucky?
Hold on. No. Well, I'm saying Garbrandt didn't fight him healthy. And again, Cruz has been battling injuries his whole life. I think one of the biggest what-ifs in UFC history would be if Cruz was ever healthy. Because this is his whole career. He beats fighters when he's injured. He's always done this.
Yeah, he's always been injured.
And that's what makes it so amazing that he's such an agile and fleet on his feet, footwork, like feint left and right, make you miss and then get inside the pocket.
I understand, but to just like put down what Cody Garbrandt did, I think it's just like,
I'm being honest, I don't think Cody Garbrandt is great.
It's a little off-putting.
As great of a fighter as the UFC was building him up to be as the next star. I think he has all the talent in the world.
Yeah, that's different though,
the potential. Jason. But I think, I'm just saying, I think that Cody Garbrandt has a ton to prove. A ton to prove.
Right, I think he proved that by beating Dominick Cruz. To say like, oh, well this and if that, if this, if that. If Dominick Cruz was so injured, and we're getting off topic here, and I want to get to this, but if Dominick Cruz was so injured, he shouldn't have fought, period.
Well, then he'd never step in the octagon ever.
Well, no, he said that it took forever for him to just rehab his knee. Well, go over these injuries.
I'll go over. First of all, let's not forget that he beat TJ Dillashaw with a broken hand in the first round.
Yep.
Like, so you can't just like wave these things off. So my point about the biggest what if would be if Cruz was.
I just don't think it's fair to put down Cody Garbrandt. Yeah.
The biggest what if would be in the UFC if Cruz never got injured. If he never got injured, would he have ever lost a fight? And I don't think he would have. Because he only lost 2 fights in his career, and if he never had to battle these injuries, this is why I like Dominick Cruz. This is why I find him to be one of the most entertaining fighters, because he's doing it through sheer will half the fucking time. Broke his hand in the first round that was against Demetrius Johnson, Mighty Mouse, and he still defended his title after the handbrake throughout the rest of that fight. He had an ACL surgery in May of 2012. It didn't go well. He had another one in December of 2012. After a KO victory over Mizugaki, you can never pronounce it right, in February of 2014, he was out. He got the immediate title shot against TJ Dillashaw, but he had to back out of that one because he had an ACL tear in his other knee. So he's had surgeries on both his knees. And then, of course, there's the plantar fasciitis in both his feet ahead of the Garbrandt fight, and now a broken arm. Everywhere is fucking injured.
Yep.
Everywhere is fucking injured.
I'm not exactly sure, by the way, how he broke his arm to be out of this fight.
I think it might be fragile.
We're just learning about it now, but it sucks. Like, I wanted to see Dominick Cruz once again. I wanted to see how he would bounce back from a loss against Cody Garbrandt. I wanted to see exactly what Jimmy Rivera was about on the biggest stage, fighting against arguably the best opponent in their division. Like would it be all like, okay, you won 20 straight, which is incredible. You're 5-0 in the UFC. Who have you beaten of the same ilk as Dominick Cruz? I think Cub Swanson is.
Who's this?
Jimmy Rivera.
Jimmy Rivera.
Oh no, Cub Swanson is not on that list. That was what's his name? Max Holloway. Yeah, that was Max Holloway, who we're going to get into in a moment.
I think Holloway's
so real quick,
tremendous fight.
Just Jimmy Rivera, I wanted to see, is it all smoke and mirrors or is it absolutely legit? Unfortunately, we're not going to get to see that against Dominick Cruz, so we wish him a speedy recovery. On top of that, the other news that we sort of introed, Max Holloway, who's on an 11-fight streak, is not going to be fighting Frankie Edgar. Jose Aldo is going to throw his hat into the ring for any big name opponent. He's currently on the card. he thought
said he was going to quit at UFC to box after his contract.
Right, which I agree with because he should go make as much money as he possibly can. The UFC isn't going to do that for him. Sorry. So the potential opponent is Jose Aldo, who, as you're seeing on the screen right now, had a tweet. Cub Swanson is the other one. But remember with Aldo, as I was going to say, December 16th, he has a matchup UFC on Fox where Robbie Lawler is also going to be fighting. He's going up against Ricardo Lamas. It sucks. But what I liked about Holloway is that he did the same Instagram post as LeBron James.
Yeah, so did the Rockets today, too.
Mood.
They said tonight Rockets versus Cavs, and it's mood.
It's funny how it's just being used against LeBron now.
Now it's just fun.
Yeah. Maybe if he didn't backtrack so hard.
It was a meme in the first place, like before even LeBron used it.
Right, but it wasn't necessarily that he used it. It's that he did it cryptically and then also backtracked by being like, see, I've done it all my career.
Like somebody said, pointed out it's because his boy Meek Mill, 2 to 4 years. For bullshit!
Yeah.
But I mean, look, I get it. There's rules and shit, but 2 to 4 years for that, like, come on.
It's ridiculous. Yeah.
Come on. 6 months.
Frankie Edgar, out.
Jersey
Thoughts?
boy, Tom's River, New Jersey.
How far is that from where you're from?
About 25 minutes.
Oh, awesome.
It's really close. Frankie Edgar, my thoughts on it is, man, the UFC cannot lose title fights, man. The only, how do I put this so the UFC audience doesn't hate me? The only big name left on a UFC card to end 2017 is Khabib Nurmagomedov.
Not even the main event.
Not even the main event, which it now should be pushed up to be the main event.
He's fighting Edson Barboza.
I'm excited to watch Khabib fight. I think it was the most, of all the UFC events that I've covered and fights being at, McGregor is a spectacle, don't get me wrong. Khabib's fights, holy shit.
Crowd was into it?
No, it's not just that. He's a psychopath in the best way possible. Like
Kobe's psychopath?
Yes, he screams at Dana White while ground and pounding all of his opponents. He does it. He looks up to the rafters and screams for title fights while he's in his fight. I love that. Mostly because he's insane. And you kind of gotta be insane to step into an octagon and do this for a living.
By the way, we did a list of the cockiest athletes of all time. That's going to be coming out on TYT Sports. He could probably be on.
He should be on there. But that's it. That's who you got for massive names who have the potential to land an even bigger fight afterwards. Injuries happen and they suck and it takes away. I don't think either UFC 218 or 219 were doing massive numbers in the first place, but the UFC puts on a good New Year's Eve card. It's always December 30th, it's the day before New Year's Eve in Vegas. It usually brings in a massive crowd, but they just don't have anybody to promote it now. So throwing Jose Aldo on it at least gets you that a little bit of a different audience. It could help a lot. Cub Swanson, there's at least some rematch in that ability. But just I think it's just like injuries suck. That's my only takeaway.
Of course.
Is that because you can't even be mad. It's not like they're cheating. It's not like they're not making weight. It's not like they're using steroids. Like injuries are going to happen in this sport. Over and over again.
Yeah, it's the same as the NFL. It's a contact sport. So unfortunately, this is just a part of the game and what we sign up for as fans of this respective sport.
Training too hard.
What this could do, well, if you train too hard, what you might have is Brian Cushing syndrome, which is where you overtrain, and then you find steroids in your system.
They have to go out and get Brock Lesnar. That's what they got to do for December 30th.
Well, that was going to be, in a way, my next point, not necessarily focused on Brock.
They can't get Brock.
Not focused on Brock, but focusing on, well, we've already seen that even if he cheats, they're going to be like, let's just push that to the side. Let's allow Brock to have this platform. Right, because money talks and, steroids apparently walk. So the point that I was going to make is they're now going to push that much harder to make up for lost time with what they lost with these past two cards and make GSP against Conor. Do I think that it's going to happen immediately? No. Do I think that GSP, who would not comment on if he were to fight Robert Whittaker on the MMA Hour with Ariel Helwani, saying like, oh, you know, there's a few things and forces and da-da-da, forces that be, I assume he meant. Yeah, he's going on vacation, but they're going to make him defend the belt because he also said that he would defend the belt if he won it against Robert Whittaker. But again, what I think they will do, they will make up for lost time and push both respective fighters so hard to have arguably the biggest main event ever in terms of sales with the UFC and do GSP and Conor just because they took such a hit this year.
Yeah,
so there you go.
217 is definitely going to be something that's saved face for a little bit, but it's definitely a down year for the UFC after having their best year ever in 2016. Fortunately, 2018 looks like it's going to be a bigger year than 2016. A lot of that has to do with the fact that you would think that the Diaz brothers will be on a card at some point next year. You would think that Conor McGregor and GSP names will be thrown around and will be in the octagon once again. I believe technically, how long is Brock Lesnar's suspension for? If they
next SummerSlam.
Next SummerSlam.
So I want to say that's like April, May, or June.
Okay, so like end of next year, they can get Brock Lesnar back involved into a UFC card. They need the stars to promote. They need it to keep growing. They need it to put together the best cards possible. Because what people fail to want to understand about the business structure of the UFC is when you have, as again Helwani puts it, the lottery ticket cards with Lesnar and McGregor, it means everybody's watching the fights beneath it on the card itself, and they get massive ratings and massive views. And that's where you find your next biggest star.
Yes.
If you put out cards and products, it doesn't matter what your highlight reel looks like, you need them to be focused and put up on a pedestal on the biggest cards possible.
Yes.
And that's where you get your new stars, your biggest stars, and you can push into 2019 and 2020, because new stars will come. They always will be around. We don't know what 16-year-old right now in 7 years is going to be the next GSP or McGregor or Diaz or Cruz or Dillashaw or Garbrandt or any of these guys.